Good morning, and we're in chapter 22 of Alma, and we have the conversion of the people of Lamoni and his land, and they're just people are being taught there, and it seems like everything's wonderful. And it came to pass that they established the church in the land, that King Lamoni desired Ammon that he should go with him to the land of Nephi, that he might show him unto his father. And I find it interesting because he's the king over all the lands, but he's living in the land of Nephi. So something's happened since the King Limhi and his people left the land of Nephi, that the king of the Lamanites decides to use it as his land, or maybe it's his summer home, I don't know, but they decide to take over that land. Maybe the buildings were such that they thought, oh, I quite like these. Anyway, that's where they are, and it has been quite a few years now, something like 50 or 60 years or something. And the voice of the people came to Ammon, saying, Thou shalt not go up to the land of Nephi, for behold, the king will seek thy life, but thou shalt go to the land of Middoni. For behold, thy brother Aaron and Mulukai and Alma are in prison. So remember, Ammon has his brother Aaron, Omner, and Himni. And now we learn the names of two of the other people that came with him, which is Mulukai and Alma as well. And now it came to pass that when Ammon had heard this, he said unto Lamoni, Behold, my brother and brethren are in prison in Middoni. I go that I may deliver them. Now Lamoni said unto Ammon, I know in the strength of the Lord thou canst do all things. What a great testimony right there in itself, and something that we can learn. I think the youth theme, I can do in the strength of the Lord, I can do all things, or something like that, either this year or last year. It's not the actual scripture that they use, but it's the same theme. But behold, I will go with thee to the land of Middoni, for the king of the land of Middoni, whose name is Antiano, is my friend, is a friend unto me. Therefore I go to the land of Middoni, that I may flatter the king of the land, and he will cast thy brethren out of prison. Now Lamoni said unto him, Who told thee that thy brethren were in prison? I find that interesting. He's just explaining his faith in him. But when he hears this, Ammon said unto him, No one hath told me, save it be God. And he said unto me, Go and deliver thy brethren, for they are in prison in the land of Middoni. Now when Lamoni heard this, he caused that his servants should make ready his horses and his chariots. There was no question. It was like, yep, okay. And he said unto Ammon, I will go down with thee to the land of Middoni, and there I will plead with the king, that he cast thy brethren out of prison. And it came to pass that Ammon and Lamoni were journeying hither, that they met the father of Lamoni, who was king over all the land. And behold, the father of Lamoni said unto him, Why did ye not come to the feast on that great day, when I made a feast unto my sons and unto my people? And he also said, Whither art thou going with this Nephite, who is one of the children of a liar? You can just hear his voice being a little bit like distasteful towards the Ammon, and how he speaks. And it came to pass that Lamoni rehearsed unto him whither he was going, for he feared to offend him. You can see how he feels about this, but he still stands up to what he's supposed to do to defend himself. And he also told him all the cause of his tarrying in his own kingdom, that he did not go unto his father to the feast which he had prepared. Now, I'm sure he was hoping for something else, because he was hoping to tell his father in the land of Nephi, which is probably good, because he would have probably had all of his servants and guards there, and he wouldn't have even attempted to try to kill Lamoni or Ammon by himself, and that would have been a lot more difficult. And now when Lamoni had rehearsed unto him all these things, behold, to his astonishment his father was angry with him, and said, Lamoni, thou art going to deliver the Nephites unto the sons... Lamoni, thou art going to deliver these Nephites, who are sons of a liar. Behold, he robbed our fathers, and now his children are also come amongst us, that they may by their cunning and their lyings deceive us, that they again may rob us of our property. Now the father of Lamoni commanded him. Remember, when he says our property, he lives in the land of Nephi, which was considered the first land, and they considered that Nephi had robbed them of that place. And then we had Lamoni's grandfather, I forgot his name all of a sudden, come back and live there, and they lived for 3 generations, and have moved out, and now he's living in that land, and he's saying, they're going to just try to take over again. At least that's what he's thinking, which they never really took over anyway. They made a deal. Anyway, now the father of Lamoni commanded him that he should slay Ammon with a sword. And he also commanded him that he should not go to the land of Middoni, but that he should return with him to the land of Ishmael. But Lamoni said unto him, I will not slay Ammon, neither will I return to the land of Ishmael. Even though he feared his father, this is him standing up, but you can almost hear him trembling doing this. But I go to the land of Middoni, that I may release the brethren of Ammon, for I know they are just men and holy prophets of the true God. And this must really shock his father, who is king over all the land and must command a lot of respect. And yet here he is talking back to him and saying, no, I'm not going to do that. And when his father had heard these words, he was angry with him, and he drew his sword, that he might smite him to the earth. But Ammon stood forth and said unto him, Behold, thou shalt not slay thy son. Nevertheless, it were better that he should fall than thee. For behold, he has repented of his sins. But if thou shouldest fall at this time, in thine anger thy soul could not be saved. And again, it is expedient that thou shouldest forbear, for if thou shouldest slay thy son, he being an innocent man, his blood should cry from the ground to the Lord his God for vengeance to come upon thee, and perhaps thou shouldest lose thy soul. I think it's interesting that when he says this, he's not threatening him as much as saying, I'm going to step in here because I don't want you to lose your soul. It may seem threatening, like, if you do this, you're going to lose your soul. But I think also it's saying, I know that you'll lose your soul if you do this, so I'm not going to let it happen. Now when Ammon had said these words unto him, he answered him, saying, I know if thou shouldest slay my son, that if I should slay my son, I should shed innocent blood, for thou hast sought to destroy him. For it is thou that hast sought to destroy him. And he stretched forth his hand to slay Ammon, but Ammon withstood his blows, and also smote his arm that he could not use it. He really goes for the arms, doesn't he? Now, you might say he's all up in arms. Now, when King saw that Ammon could slay him, he began to plead with Ammon that he should spare his life. But Ammon raised his sword and said unto him, Behold, I will smite thee, except thou wilt grant unto me that my brethren may be cast out of prison. So now the king, fearing that he should lose his life, said, so this is where his life is worth. If thou wilt spare me, I will grant unto thee whatsoever thou wilt ask, even to half the kingdom. Remember that. We'll remember that tomorrow when we're discussing more. Now Ammon saw that he had wrought upon the old king according to his desire, and he said unto him, If thou wilt grant unto my brethren, grant that my brethren may be cast out of prison, and also Lamoni may retain his kingdom, that ye may not be displeased with him, but grant that he may do according to his own desires, in whatsoever thing he thinketh, then will I spare thee. Otherwise I will smite thee to the earth. So he's letting him know, I've got control, but this is my terms. And it, as you see, it's nothing to do with his kingdom. It has to do with his son and his brethren. And really simple, easy. Not what the king was expecting. Now when Ammon had said these words, the king began to rejoice because of his life. And when he saw that Ammon had no desire to destroy him. Now I think this is interesting, because here's where it turns. Ammon, he tells the king these things, and it must be in his body language that it's like, wait, you don't want to kill me? Threaten my life, but you don't want to really kill me. And when he saw that also the great love he had for his son Lamoni, he was astonished exceedingly, and said, Because of this, all that thou hast desired, that I would release thy brethren, because this is all that thou hast desired, that I should release thy brethren, and suffer that my son Lamoni should retain his kingdom, behold, I will grant unto you that my son may retain his kingdom from this time and forever, and I will govern him no more. And I will also grant unto thee that thy brethren may be cast out of prison, and thou and thy brethren may come unto me in my kingdom, for I shall greatly desire to see thee. For the king was greatly astonished at the words which he had spoken, and also at the words which had been spoken by his son Lamoni. Therefore he was desirous to learn them. Just a point. So Ammon was told by the Lord not to go to Nephi, because his life would be, the king would seek his life. Sometimes prophets get revelation that is revelation at that time, and now he's being asked that if when he's finished that he goes to there, and he doesn't actually, but Alma does, and preaches unto the king. And sometimes we take one prophecy or something, or one thing that a prophet says, oh, that's it. But sometimes circumstances change, and in this situation, now the king's heart changed. Circumstances changed as to whether you go to Nephi or not. And it came to pass that Ammon and Lamoni proceed on their journey towards the land of Middoni, and Lamoni found favor in the eyes of the king of the land. Therefore the brethren of Ammon were brought forth out of prison, and when Ammon did meet them, he was exceedingly sorrowful, for behold, they were naked, and their skins were worn exceedingly because of being bound by strong cords, and they also had suffered hunger, thirst, and all kinds of afflictions. Nevertheless, they were patient in all their sufferings. Remember what the Lord said, be patient in thy sufferings. They were told it was going to happen, and it happened. And as it happened, it was their lot to have fallen in the hands of more hardened and more stiff-necked people. Therefore, they would not hearken unto their words, and they cast them out, and had smitten them, and had driven them from house to house, and from place to place, even until they arrived in the land of Middoni. And there they were taken and cast into prison, and bound with strong cords, and kept in prison for many days, and were delivered by Lamoni and Ammon. Seems like Ammon had it easy, almost. But each one of them, they knew that what they were getting into, and they still were strong in the gospel. And I hope today that you're not bound by cords and strong cords and everything, but that you might be able to testify of the things that you know are true,